Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Good evening and welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe and we are tracking another cold night across North Mississippi, but luckily dry conditions do reign supreme, and that'll continue to be the case for the start of our Monday, start of your work week. And yes, welcome back, students. It's going to be a cold one for you as well. So that's really the theme tonight. Another cold night in store for the start of our work week. But as we're tracking those temperatures out, we are tracking a little bit of a warm up heading into I didn't mean to advance it there. A little bit of a warm up heading into the rest of your week. And let's go ahead and get back to those headlines. I want to show off that third one, not just overlook it. So that significant warm up happening on your Tuesday, carrying over into Wednesday, Thursday, and your Friday. But then Friday, things start to shift, and that's your next weather maker pushing in on your Friday. What to expect with Friday storms, that's what we're going to be walking through in a little bit more detail here in the Room to Room Weather Center. So welcome into the 10 o'clock broadcast. We're keeping you updated on all things weather for this upcoming week. That, of course, starts with the first 12, and as you can see, dry conditions continue overnight and for the start of your Monday, but cold temperatures. That still remains the story. Not going to be as cold as this morning, but we're talking 38 degrees heading out the door during those early AM hours. If you're heading out a little bit later, temperatures are trending much more mild, so more bearable the later you wake up. All the more reason to sleep in if you still have that opportunity. And students, I'm talking to you because those days are dwindling that you have that opportunity. 45 degrees in Macon right now, Noxubee County having that thin layer of cloud cover, and that's why those dew points are slightly higher, currently in the low 40s, going to prevent too much more cooling from where we're sitting at right now in Macon, but still a cool night nonetheless. 45 degrees, enough to have a layer. 43 degrees in Pontotoc, dew points at 37. This is what I'm talking about. With those drier conditions further towards the north, allows for more of that cooling to take place, and that's why we're going to be waking up to even cooler temperatures the further north you go. Makes sense, right? Blue Springs, 43 degrees, lining up the same range with those dew points in the upper 30s. There you're getting a calm-looking interstate there on I-22. Also calm-looking skies. We are not tracking any drop of rainfall. Still looking like a good forecast heading into those late Sunday plans if you are still out and about. Your temperatures, seeing a few upper 30s in Holly Springs, Corinth, and Iuka already, but working our way south, you're seeing 41 in Amory, Oxford, 44 Clarksdale, 46 around Greenwood, and 45 around Louisville. So there are still some locations that are more mild than others, but nonetheless, you're starting to see this warming trend seep in more to North Mississippi. That's why we have an 8-degree difference on the positive end in South Haven, meaning warmer conditions, warmer temperatures are right on the horizon. So all of this cooling trend you see further south, not going to be in case heading into those early morning hours. Our meteorologist Maggie McCauley having the latest on that for your forecast for the start of your work week. All right, let's go ahead and look at this loop. What we've seen all day long and continuing to see into those late hours remains these dry conditions right overhead. Not tracking any drop of rainfall, and that carries over into the 10 o'clock hour. So again, any plans you've had today been paired with some pretty phenomenal weather as well. So hopefully you did get the chance to get out and about because these conditions not going to be seen forever. We need to enjoy them while they're here. And luckily we are the beneficiaries as this carries over into your Monday as well. So high pressure continuing to drive our forecast over the top of North Mississippi. But where we've been talking about this difference in temperatures is the positioning of this high. So here you're getting a look at that high pressure center right off the Atlantic coast. So whenever we get this position, we basically have this motion or this flow that has a clockwise motion. So wrapping around that high pressure center, so you're getting these northerly winds working their way into the northeast and off there into the Atlantic. You're also getting some lake effect snow as a result right around the Buffalo area. But then you're getting this other motion, this clockwise motion wrapping up some of that southern moisture back into the southeast. And that's why we are getting those warmer temperatures from the Gulf, but also a little bit of that moisture return as well. So if you look outside and you see that haziness over the moon, that's exactly why. Moisture is still in the forecast and will still be in play for our Monday despite it being dry. That moisture primarily going to be in the form of cloud cover. So let's bring it back in here to the southeast and get a better look at this forecast because you already see that southerly wind back into the area. Now it's not going to affect all of us, but I do expect areas along and south of Highway 82 to be dealing with some of that partly cloudy sky and even some patchy fog, not an impossibility. But as we work our way through the morning, you can see how that moisture remains in the forecast, giving a few showers down around coastal regions. But up here in North Mississippi, just primarily going to be those partly cloudy skies. And honestly, not going to do too much on our forecast as that sun is still able to peek through. So any plans you have on your Monday, Yes, there is still going to be some cloud cover, but no rainfall is going to be attached to that, and I think we're looking good for the start of the work week and the start of the spring semester for some of us out in North Mississippi, and that includes my beautiful bride at home. The next 24, 6 a.m., 37 degrees, going to be a cold start to the day, but by the time you get into the afternoon, I do think we can shed at least one of those layers because it's going to be in the mid-60s, so it's looking like a great forecast, one that I'm definitely excited about because it'll be 65 degrees coming into the studio, so definitely looking forward to that forecast. But you do see partly cloudy conditions, no chance of rainfall, but that doesn't mean there's no chance of rainfall forever. We work our way in that extended pattern. We are seeing our next weather maker push in late on your Thursday into your Friday. Of course, it's never too far away for us to track that here on Mississippi Live Weather. So coming up in the next 60, we're taking an extended look at that forecast, talking about how long those dry conditions persist and when our next weather maker moves in for Mississippi Live Weather at 10 in the next 60.
Look at Wanda, ready to rock her big presentation. But first, lunch. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Delicious, celebratory, but is it quick? The Cobb salad. Tender oven roasted chicken, topped with cheese. Prepared, plated, and served? In 6 minutes? Is this for real? Well, of course. Well done, Wanda. Sweet Pepper's Deli. Yes, ma'am. Life is sweet.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Welcome back into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. We're continuing to take a look at temperatures across North Mississippi. And right now, getting a look at Montgomery County, you can see that haziness in the sky still in place. So unfortunately, you can't get fully clear of that cloud cover, but 45 degrees. Not a bad temperature forecast, especially with that northerly wind coming in about 5 miles an hour. One of the few locations where we are getting a slight breeze, so folks in Winona, enjoy it. Definitely a good looking forecast overnight. If we jump a little bit east there towards Maben, getting a look at that thin layer of cloud cover as well. Those dew points reading, I feel a little bit more accurately. 41 degrees and temperatures at 41 as well, meaning it's a very saturated environment, and that saturation coming in the form of cloud cover, and some of that cloud cover, especially with the lack of wind, making its way to the ground with some patchy fog. I do think that we do get some patchy fog in some spots south of Highway 82 for our Monday morning, but the rest of us, where it's drier, and we're talking about folks in Lee County, Saltillo coming in 43 degrees, dew points 37, so that humidity slightly less. You just still have a haziness on those lights, but I do expect that haziness to remain a haziness and not necessarily dense fog. I think we're looking good for that morning commute. All right, let's go ahead and get a look at our our Mama Justice Doppler radar. And of course, we're seeing those dry conditions in place, and we'll continue to do so into those overnight hours as well. So don't worry, we're not going to be tracking anything in the form of rainfall. As we started this weekend off, a little recap of what we've been seeing. Of course, rainfall totals amassing half an inch all the way up to an inch in some spots, but nonetheless, it was still a pretty soggy start to our weekend, but those trended way better as you take a look at our Sunday rainfall totals, and that is lack thereof because of how dry things have been. So if you've not gotten outside to enjoy it, definitely missed out on a great forecast, but if you do still have another day off for your winter break, Monday will be a day you need to take advantage of, especially by the afternoon with temperatures trending so much better. But we're talking about our next weather maker, and that's going to be over the next 5 days, working our way into our Thursday night and of course our Friday, the almost entirety of the day as the frontal system works its way on through. And some of those rainfall outputs, oftentimes when I see or use this graphic, our Weather Prediction Center graphic, it showcases about 1/2 of an inch. Now, whenever I see 1/2 of an inch, what I see right there is it's not an impossibility to get some areas even higher. An inch, inch and a half, not out of the realm of possibilities, and especially with that 1/4 of an inch all the way to 1/10 of an inch carrying through the entire north half of the Magnolia State. So we need to make sure that we have our rain gear ready as we head into the latter part of this week, despite the beginning looking as dry as a desert. Our day planner, of course, showcasing those dry conditions already. Midnight, 41 degrees, 3 a.m., 39 degrees, and 6 a.m., 37 degrees. I mean, hey, similar to a desert, if we're going to reference it. The fact that it's going to be cold nights and warm afternoons, yeah, very similar to a desert-like pattern. But no, Mississippi's not a desert, I promise. I promise. But still, nonetheless, partly cloudy skies overnight, allowing for some clearing. And where that clearing takes place means colder temperatures on the horizon. So the cloud cover acting as that blanket that we need to stay warm overnight. So midnight tonight, you can see how that cloud cover already starting to recede from the Tennessee state line. And where that does start to move a little bit further south, that's where we're going to see some colder air push in, despite that southerly wind, not exactly posing too much of a threat to warm us up for the start of our Monday. So there you're getting a look 4 a.m. with those partly cloudy conditions continuing to work their way right along and south of Highway 82, 6 a.m. still remaining in place. So you can see all this clearing north of Highway 6. Yeah, go ahead and look at these low temperatures. We're talking 38 degrees in Boonville, Corinth, New Albany, 39 Holly Springs and Oxford. And if we work our way south, I know it's not a major difference, but a difference nonetheless, as we see 41 in Starkville, Eupora, Grenada, Cleveland, and 42 Belzona and Kosciuszko. Our normal 34 degrees, so we're already trending slightly above that 30-year average. And it only gets worse from here. So this is as cold as we're going to be for the next several days. That means layer up at the bus stop tomorrow morning. Again, I need to check and make sure who is in school and when everyone heads back to school. I know Boonville is on Tuesday for students, so our Prentice County students, you have another day. But teachers have to go back tomorrow. So teachers watching me right now, make sure to layer up for that morning commute. Drop off 65 degrees, so by the time we get towards the afternoon, we might be able to shed that outer layer and be able to enjoy maybe some short sleeves by that afternoon forecast due to how mild things are trending. Your Futurecast on your Monday. I'm going to expand things out here to kind of showcase the broad scale what we're seeing, because here in North Mississippi for our Monday, not seeing much action. A large part of it will be with that partly cloudy sky in place by 9 a.m. and continuing to remain there by that lunchtime hour. So any lunch plans? Maybe a break from the school day might be well spent outside to enjoy these great conditions that are in place. And even by the late, or should I say mid to late afternoon time frame, with those mild temperatures that are in place, it's definitely time to make some plans outside, head to the park, head out in the front yard. Wherever you want to go to enjoy it, it just needs to be outdoors. As we carry that over into those late evening hours, still seeing dry conditions overhead and actually a little bit more clearing than what was originally starting the day off. So, hey, things get better as the day goes on, and that includes sky coverage and our temperatures. High temperatures, getting a look at that right here for your Monday afternoon. 65 in Tupelo, 65 right around Columbus as well, Louisville, Aliceville, 66 in Vernon, Macon, as well as Belzona coming in at 68. Kosciuszko 68, Senatobia 63. So no one excluded from those above average temperatures, and those will continue to stick around and get warmer as the week goes on. Let's track that out. Your Futurecast for your Monday night and into your Tuesday morning. We are staying with those partly cloudy skies. That cloud cover getting a little bit more dense as the night goes on, unfortunately. So the gloomy night ahead for our Monday night and into our Tuesday. But those mostly cloudy skies don't stick around forever. We will see some breaks heading into our Tuesday morning. I say some breaks lightly. We're not seeing an extensive amount of breaks, but nonetheless, we'll get a little bit of that sunshine still peeking on through. Low temperatures for the start of your Tuesday, getting a good look at the mild conditions that we will see heading out the door. So yeah, cold Monday, mild Tuesday. 49 degrees in Corinth as well as Boonville, 50 New Albany, Houston, Starkville, and 51 Louisville. Still seeing a few upper 40s right along Red Bay, Alabama, Hamilton, Alabama, as well as there around Macon, but nonetheless, much better than where we sat today, much better than where things will sit tomorrow morning, and we will definitely take that here in North Mississippi. Your start of your Tuesday staying dry, and as we go about the day, one thing to note is the fact that we will have a frontal system trying to push through the area, giving us a chance at maybe a brief isolated shower. Not out of the realm of possibilities for sure, and you can see that with those greens popping up. I'm taking this a little bit with a grain of salt because usually I would say this is elevated, not a concern. But with the southerly wind and that moisture still going to be in the forecast, I would say that a sprinkle is definitely not going to be ruled out for our Tuesday, so have that rain gear just in case. But we're talking the first setting on the windshield wipers, not anything to write home about for sure. So your Tuesday afternoon and evening continues to stay on the mostly drier side with the brief sprinkle not going to be ruled out. But if we expand things out, you can see that this front starts to move overhead. And as you guys know, here at Mississippi Live Weather, I played basketball all growing up. And in the basketball world, we would call this a pump fake. because it jukes us out and nothing really happens, because as this cold front moves on through, nothing's going to cool off, and there's not going to be a significant increase in those rain chances. At most, we're talking about a 10% coverage. But even then, it's a grain of salt because those showers are very, very minimal impacts. So your high temperatures Tuesday, this is where the impacts will be felt as our normal 53 degrees, records 72. Guys, Tuesday, we could be talking about a record-setting day because we are just under that record here in Tupelo with 70 degrees, 70 in Oxford, 69 South Haven and Holly Springs, 74 in Greenwood, and it gets even warmer, 75 Greenville, 75 Belzona. It is going to be a toasty day for sure, especially in January terms, being that we should be in the low 50s. Yeah, not going to be anything close to that for our Tuesday. All right, now let's carry this over into the extended pattern, and it's going to do a big jump because it's such a calm forecast up until that late week threat. Let's go ahead and jump to that. So your Tuesday night, staying on the drier side, like we mentioned, a brief sprinkle, not an impossibility, but if we keep this moving, and let me make sure this is on. Okay, I need to swap this over. Bear with me behind the scenes. Apologize for that. This is what I wanted to show. I was about to say that didn't look too right. All right, here's a look at your rain chances for the next 7 days. This is where we stay dry all the way through Wednesday, but then as we get into your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, see this big jump right here. That's that frontal system that we were teasing at the start of the show, and of course we'll break down here in just a moment, but that's our best chance of rainfall over the next 7 days. So those mostly dry conditions and that drought monitor that's been in place for a while will continue to be in place heading into the latter part of this week, but once that frontal system moves in, definitely making a dent on that drought monitor. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Wednesday evening staying on the drier side, so again, not tracking anything all the way through your midweek time frame, but as we get into that latter portion of the week, you can see 6 p.m. on your Thursday. We're starting to get some of this development, and this is going to be that frontal system that's working its way overhead. That's going to be 6 p.m. on Thursday, and if I expand things out, you can get a better look at this frontal system that's trying to set up. You, of course, have this low that's starting to develop right around Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois, and that cold front extending off of it. That's what we're watching for, the potential of some possible inclement weather. And now, as of right now, a lot of ingredients do still have to get in place, and we're watching it behind the scenes, but we're hopeful that that stays out of North Mississippi. Let's go ahead and carry this over into your Thursday night. You can see some prefrontal development already starting over the Mississippi River. Now, the positioning of this system is one that will be a big question heading into the next several days. Reason why? Thursday was our golden day throughout the first half of our weekend. Now, as we're tracking it out, you can clearly see that Thursday night, it's still well into East Oklahoma, East Texas, and West Arkansas. So it's going to take a bit longer before this reaches our area, and being that it's going to be moving in overnight, we're hopeful that that'll limit the impacts that we will see with this. So carrying this over into your Friday morning, you can see that this front starts to develop a little bit more. And all of this red that you're seeing down here, I realize I've not addressed the elephant in the room. All of that red is CAPE, or energy. And that's going to be what supplies maybe some strong storms to happen. And that's one to pay attention to as this front moves on through. So this is Friday morning. You're starting to see that tongue of moisture or that tongue of energy start to move a little bit more north into Little Rock as that front starts to progress on through. By 6 a.m., that front still out in Little Rock, but working its way east. By the time we get towards mid to late morning on your Friday and really right along your noon time frame, we're talking right over the top of the Mississippi River. But a big question right now, on top of the other questions I just said, is the positioning of this front lining up with the energy that's in place. If these two are displaced, then of course you're not going to get that severe weather threat. But with the amount of energy that we're seeing, especially down in Louisiana, I would say a marginal threat, not an impossibility, for some gusty winds, as well as heavy rainfall. But one of the big questions is, of course, the timing, how much energy there is, and just how much forcing there is on this frontal system. As we go about the day, that will continue to work its way through North Mississippi, but already seeing that fuel diminish. So by the time we get into the latter part of our Friday, that's where impacts should be diminishing, of course, and into your weekend, we'll be seeing much drier conditions in place. So there's still a lot of questions. In summary, but I wanted to go ahead and address that with you guys to get you prepared and of course have those layers of protection if this were to increase in its threat, because as of right now, not impressed with it, but it's one to keep an eye on for any potential strengthening as the week goes on. And I think there's still a lot of things that it needs to show us before we become a little bit more a heightened concern or anything like that. I would say we're far from being concerned as of right now. So your 7-day forecast, of course, showing that main threat for rainfall going to be on your Friday, your Monday through Wednesday staying dry, and those temperatures staying warm. Low 70s for your Tuesday all the way into your Friday before that frontal system pushes into the area and cools us off heading into next weekend. So Friday, again, the day you need to circle on your calendar just to make sure that you are keeping the rain gear around, but we'll keep you updated if you need to be any more concerned with that day with the possibility of any severe weather. And again, as of now, our confidence is very low in any severe weather happening, but one that we're continuing to keep an eye on as we head over the next several days. All right, I think we've been gabbing with Gabe a little bit too much on your 10 o'clock, so I apologize. I see some folks talking about the football game. Yeah, good game going on right now. Steelers-Ravens, last spot in the AFC. We'll see what happens. All right, I'm trying to see if any folks have asked any questions. Hang on 1 second. Let me scroll up. Yeah, okay, I apologize. I might have been talking fast. At 10 o'clock, I don't know. And it might be the latter part of the weekend too. I don't know, an extra ounce of energy. Might have had too much coffee this morning at church. That's on me. But I do hope you guys had, or were at least informed on what to expect heading into this week. Let me summarize it in brief detail. It's going to be warmer, and we do have the threat for rainfall and potential for storms on your Friday. And of course, we will update you guys all throughout this week on the Mississippi Live Weather app. Make sure to go ahead and download that today on iOS and Android. And we will, of course, do our live broadcast as well, keeping you guys posted on what to expect. Our next broadcast happening on your Monday morning at 6:37 and 7:30. And don't miss out on our broadcast Monday evening at 5, 6, and 10. We cannot wait to see you guys there. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your weekend, rest a couple of hours, and then a wonderful week ahead. We can't wait to see you guys and keep you guys informed. And of course, you guys have a wonderful week.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.